In this video, I'm going to show you how to design product packaging as I live design the package that we talked about in the last video. Like we covered in the last video, well-designed product packaging is essential to any business that needs to move product off of shelves, and it also creates a unique experience for customers that have just purchased a product. Over the next couple minutes, I'm going to show you how I approach packaging design using the package that we talked about in the last video. So let's get to it. Alright, the first thing we're going to do here is open up the sheet that we worked with together in the last video. So here we have all of our basic information and all of the details that are going to give us the content for each of the sides of the packaging. So first thing here, I'm going to open up Illustrator, and I've already created the dimensions for the product we're going to be creating. So this is not meant to be the print specific file that's going to go out to the printer in the end, but more something that we can get our ideas out and then interpret into that file later on. The actual file from the printer might have some folds incorporated in here, might have some bleeds and some other things like margins that I might have to take into consideration, but for now we're really just trying to get our ideas out on the paper and see what they look like. So if we look at the sheet, we need a 12-inch tall by 12-inch wide by 12-inch deep package. So right here, each of these squares are a 12-inch by 12-inch piece, and they're lined up right next to each other. So we have the front right here in the middle with the right, left, back all strung together, and the top and bottom coming off of the front design here. And the reason I'm doing that and keeping them all together is because our design is going to wrap across multiple of these surfaces, and I want to make sure that it translates on this flat surface and we can kind of see how it moves from surface to surface. Next we're going to look at is the front, and I've actually added a couple of pieces in here since the last time that we visited this, just things that I thought of after the fact that would be cool to add to this package design. So the first thing we need here is the Votech logo to go on the front. So I can go grab that from the files that we've been developing over the course of the series. Here we've got the logo file that I'll go ahead and open up, and once we have our logos open, I also know that I'm going to need the color palette studies and the font studies, so I'm going to go ahead and open up those as well. Alright, so now we have our logo design that we developed in a previous video, our color palette, our font studies, and the patterns that we also developed in a previous video. And we're going to be able to pull all of these into our packaging design. We've made it very easy on ourselves by following this process. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and grab our color palette and just drop in the background colors for each of our sides. So I want to go with a solid blue. We can go ahead and wrap that all around our package. Now, I do want to change this up a little bit. I want to actually give this a gradient so it makes our package a little bit more visually interesting. So I'm going to pull the solid blue color, and I want to identify maybe just a little bit of a lighter hue, and I'm going to select these. Next up, I'm going to select all of our sides here and create a gradient. On one end of the gradient, I'm going to put our new light color, and on the other end, I'm going to put the dark color. Then I can just simply pull this down, and we've got that nice gradient across our entire front. Now I just need to make the bottom this lighter color so the whole thing comes together very well. And I'm actually going to adjust gradient here by pulling down the darks. I want that light to be more towards the bottom of the package right there. Now next up, we're going to pull some of the helmet images. So I'm going to go up here to place. I'm going to find those images in my assets and grab just these side views right here that are going to be prominent on the packaging. Alright, now that I've got these sizes pulled out, we can scale them up and drop them into place on the packaging. The back will go on the back side right here. We can go ahead and use the align tool to make sure it's dead center. Now we've got our helmet render sitting nicely on our background. I'm just going to make sure that these renders actually matched up with each other, and it looks like they do not. It looks like they came out at slightly different proportions. So what I'm going to do is just create a top line. I'm just going to make sure that each of these helmets now aligns with that, so we've got the same kind of proportioned sizing. Alright, we're off to a great start right here. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and grab the logo that we specified, copy this over, and drop it in. And we wanted this to be shown on the front and left side. So let's pull this open, take a look at what we've got. So we've got the left side right here and the front here. I want to do something unique, maybe make this a background element. Drop this right into the back and make it a design element that kind of flows through each of the designs here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to want that V to be in the front. So I'm going to change this up from what the design instructions say, and I'm actually going to put it right here so that we have everything up to the E here, and then the rest of it moves on to the side here. Next up, I'm gonna make a clipping mask. It needs to be bumped up a little bit. All right, so we've really got the cornerstone pieces of this packaging design built out right here. I'm gonna go ahead and start designing, and then we will come back together at the end of my design and we'll review all of the choices I made. Feel free to watch the next couple of minutes as I time lapse through the whole design process, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, it's been about an hour and a half of designing, and so far I'm pretty happy with this as a first pass for our packaging design. So I'll walk through all of the elements that I brought in, why I did it. So if we start in the front right here, you can see that we have the title for the helmet right here. So this is the Raven H11 modular helmet. We have that included right up top here. We have the 3 easy configurations pulled out where we can see each of the different configurations of the helmet pulled out to the side. It looks like a little feature. We can see it. This line is coming out of the helmet, and then the 3 is highlighted here. Just trying to make it visually interesting right off the bat and communicate that it has these 3 easy configurations. On the bottom left here, we've added the size, which is a medium for this helmet. In the background here, you can see some elements being layered on top of each other. So first thing, we have the gradient blue background that's working all the way on the bottom layer. And then over top of that, we have this pattern texture overlaid on top of that. If there's anything that's going to drop here, it's probably going to be this pattern texture. I'm not super happy with it as I was in the beginning. Let's see actually how that would look without it. So yeah, after removing the pattern texture, I think I'm liking it quite a bit more without it. Brings the whole design together a little bit more, and you know, it feels a little bit better. Other elements that we have right here, we kind of have this swoosh. I got to the end of the design and it just didn't feel like it had enough motion or momentum or energy behind it. So I added this very slight swoosh effect. You can see it's actually a swoosh between 2 swooshes, and it has a blended steps in between them that kind of creates this cool layered effect. But the only reason I did that was just to give it a little bit more motion, make it look a bit more dynamic. We want something that conveys excitement and movement, and that swoosh just kind of helped us get there. The last thing that's really working in the background here is I've got this gradient that kind of emits light from behind the helmet, and this is really just to draw the eye further into the helmet, make it more of the eye-catching element inside of this, and it really brings it all together and makes it look like a complete design. If we jump to the other sides, we'll see very similar approaches. So right here, the only difference here is really we have the mission statement right at the top. I wanted this to kind of fit into the background. So if you're sitting here reading the package, I want it to be readable, but I don't want it to pop out immediately as the biggest thing on the page. Similarly on the other side, the big thing here is the 3 easy configurations. Now, one thing you'll notice is that at the beginning, the configurations were supposed to be on every single side, but after doing it, it was obvious that it was going to be too busy, and it really worked against the design. So I decided to go with just the front and the side, so we could see what the side of the helmet looks like in each configuration and with the front. So other things right here, we've got the barcode on the back here with the unit number and the size. So the barcode has been dropped in right here, just on the back, just for easy scanning. And lastly, the top and bottom. So the top, we just have the logo with the tagline. In the background, I just have that slight gradient to bring the eye into the logo. It's a little thing that we've done there to make it a little bit more interesting. And on the bottom here, we're going to keep this white, mostly just to provide contrast from the top so people know when the box is upside down versus right side up. And that's really the only design element that we've introduced here. So after designing this, we're going to cross-reference this with our stylescape and see if this fits into the overall brand that we tried to establish right at the beginning. So I pop this open, we can look at the other packagings that we looked at. Obviously, the biggest inspiration here is this package that we pulled with some sort of speaker. at the beginning of our design. This heavily influenced the design of this packaging. You can see a lot of the gradients working, the object is kind of sitting in the middle, even the lighting on the object is pretty similar. But we've obviously got a little bit more detail in ours, and it's more of a dynamic, exciting product than the speaker, so I think we can justify that. If we look at these other box designs, I mean, these are a bit more simple. I think if we did other types of merchandising, we might want to explore some of these. This is definitely the most eye-catching if it's going to be sitting on a shelf. And after reviewing the stylescape, I would say that this fits in pretty well. I mean, it has a continuity with the brand, it's eye-catching, people are going to pay attention to this, and it's going to take this brand into the next step and hopefully sell some of these made-up helmet units. And with that, we finished our branded product packaging. I hope that me walking you through this process was helpful to you in some way. If it was, please leave a like on this video, and if you have any questions about the process, please comment them below and I'll get to answering them. Also included in this series is a library of resources available on my website at brycetufts.com under the Resources tab. There you'll find workbooks, guides, worksheets to help you along on your process, and you can download any of them for free. Thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot that I'm able to share my process with you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.